A female Secret Service agent abandoned her post in North Carolina to breastfeed her baby.
Not all of us can afford to have a job where you can just step off and say, you know what, I'm going to take a break here and nurse my baby. But apparently, when you're on the Secret Service detail protecting the man who could be president 85 days from now, it's no big deal. Are you kidding me? It's been 33 days since that fateful moment when Donald Trump turned his head just a little bit and avoided being assassinated in Butler, Pennsylvania. 33 days. In any other world, it would still be a dominant story. But we've promised you over the last several weeks that we are going to continue to pursue every little bit of information we learn about what happened that day and the systemic rot that appears to have taken over in the Secret Service. And, well, we've got an update for you. As usual, it comes from Susan Crabtree, the investigative reporter over at Real Clear Politics. I'm going to first let you see a summary of this report that Newsmax broke out yesterday when it hit. Take a look.
The Secret Service detail that's guarding former President Donald Trump. So this coming from Real Clear Politics, reporting that a female Secret Service agent abandoned her post in North Carolina to breastfeed her baby during Trump's visit yesterday to the Tar Heel state. The report says about 5 minutes before Trump's motorcade arrived, the site agent who manages security for the entire event did a final sweep of the location.
And while walking the route, the site agent reportedly found the Secret Service special agent in question breastfeeding with two other family members present in a room that's supposed to be set aside for official business like an emergency involving the president. The report says the special agent did not have permission to leave her post and gave no warning prior to the event that she needed personal time. Working Secret Service agents are prohibited from bringing children or any family members, for that matter, on a protective assignment.
All right, still working on clarification and details on this, that coming from the reporter for RCP. And it comes about a month after what many consider to be the biggest Secret Service failure in recent American history, the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. For details, national correspondent Alana Austin just got a response from the Secret Service spokesman on this. She joins us live from Capitol Hill with this story. Alana.
Hi, good morning, Sean and Emma. And certainly, as you mentioned there, we're really just weeks out from the attempted assassination on the former president. And we heard from a whistleblower, if you will, a counter sniper, saying he was worried there could be another attack imminently as all of these campaign events, the calendar intensifies here leading up to the November elections. And here's the response I just received from the U.S. Secret Service spokesperson. It is saying all employees of the U.S. Secret Service are held to the highest standards. While there was no impact to the North Carolina event, the specifics of this incident are being examined. Given this is a personnel matter, we are not in a position to comment further. So there were many alarming details of this report that first broke from Real Clear Politics about the family members on site. Of course, just minutes before this event is really supposed to get underway, the Secret Service agent apparently breaking numerous policies and protocols. I've asked the U.S. Secret Service if they could clarify whether all the details of this report are accurate. And at this point in time, we are waiting for further clarification.
Yeah, further clarification. Great reporting there from Newsmax. But of course, the original reporting all coming from this woman, Susan Crabtree of Real Clear Politics. Now, I'm going to get into the details of it for you. But if you missed that, because as you read it with me, I want to make sure that you can see the full impact and the impression that's left here about the Secret Service. This is the United States Secret Service. I mean, it's bad enough that they didn't secure the building where the sniper was. And then, of course, we were told, well, local law enforcement was supposed to cover that. And local law enforcement did cover that. In fact, they saw and were alerted by citizens that there was a man on the roof of the building with a rifle. And so what do? They call on their radios to let the Secret Service know. And now we're told, again, thanks to Susan Crabtree's reporting, that there was no central command communication center where that radio alert from local law enforcement was actually heard by a Secret Service agent. There was no communications. They were siloed. So it's, oh, yeah, we'll let the local law enforcement handle that. Well, what happens if they, I don't know, see a guy with a gun? What are they supposed to do? They literally had no central communications hub to be able to communicate any dangers to the Secret Service. And they're just now going to insert, well, we're going to do things differently from this point forward. And now we've got this. During a Donald Trump visit to North Carolina yesterday, a female Secret Service special agent abandoned her post to breastfeed with no permission or warning to the event site agent, according to 3 sources in the Secret Service community. I have 4 kids. And, we made the choice to nurse our children. And I say we because I participated in my own way. I handled output, didn't handle input, but I did a lot of output. And, there were times when the mother of my children, my ex-wife, to be completely honest with you, had a busy schedule. She had stuff to do. She didn't have as vital a job as, protecting a presidential candidate and former president, but she had a busy job. So, you pump, and if you can't pump, God forbid you use formula. Not all of us can afford to have a job where you can just step off and say, you know what, I'm going to take a break here and nurse my baby. But apparently, when you're on the Secret Service detail protecting the man who could be president 85 days from now, it's no big deal. Are you kidding me? Shortly before Trump's motorcade arrival, I'm told 5 minutes before Trump arrives, the site agent was getting ready for the revival. The site agent is the person in charge of the entire event security. The site agent went to do one final sweep of the walking route and found the agent breastfeeding her child in a room that's supposed to be set aside for important Secret Service official work. Well, who says this wasn't official? Who says it wasn't important? Are you going to tell me that nourishing a child is not important vital work? I'm not complaining about women breastfeeding. I think it's a beautiful thing that women breastfeed. I think maybe that if your job is to protect a candidate for president and you're still nursing, you need to make some choices in life. And you certainly don't walk off the job without permission to do it. Don't get the breastfeeding lobby against me. I am not opposed to breastfeeding. Yes, you stick with that. That's exactly what's happening. But shouldn't you be watching MSNBC right now? No, actually, I'm glad you're here, Sai. This is good. You should be a special guest on the show. I'd love to have a back and forth with you. A working agent on duty cannot bring a child to a protective assignment. Thank you. That was my next question. What's the baby even doing there? So the husband or life partner brought the baby to work. Maybe it was bring your baby to work day. This woman was out of the Atlanta field office. The woman agent was in the room with 2 other family members. Hey, yeah, come on. Oh, no, it's no big deal. It's just a Trump event. Seriously, no big deal. Right, Sai? I mean, that's really what you're saying. If this happened at a Biden event, Sai, would you be okay? The agent, who's a member of the Atlanta field office, and her family members bypassed the uniform division checkpoint. No problem. No big deal when you bypass a checkpoint. Hey, Sai, I'm sorry, Kevin. This is what I get for you putting Sai's comments up there. Sai, I don't know. Do you think maybe the Secret Service deserves a little extra scrutiny right now, considering a presidential candidate and former president just had his ear blown off by an assassin? I'm sorry. Am I the problem because I'm criticizing the current protocols and professionalism of the Secret Service? Because, they've got one job, and that's to protect their protectee. In this case, Donald Trump, the former president and current candidate for president. And maybe I could be wrong, Sai. I'm sure that you've got a better handle on things, but it seems to me that maybe they're worthy of a little scrutiny, considering that one job they've got, they completely and an assassin almost exploded Donald Trump's head in front of the entire world. But no, you seem to be no, it's really about women's rights. That needs to be the priority right now. Thanks for proving our point. When contacted about the incident, Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi, who constantly lies, said the incidents did not have an impact on the event and it's under review. All employees of the U.S. Secret Service are held to the highest standards. Are they? Because no one's been fired. No one's been fired 33 days later. Has anyone even been punished 33 days after an assassination attempt? While there was no impact to the North Carolina event, the specifics of this incident are being examined. Given this is a personnel matter, we're not in a position to comment further. Oh, hey, everybody, calm down. It's just a personnel matter. You know, I got to tell you something. As much as, as a conservative, I'm suspicious of big government agencies and bureaucracies in Washington, D.C. in general, right? I adhere to the Ronald Reagan philosophy that, that government is the problem, generally speaking. Whenever government isn't the solution to the problem, government isn't the problem. And the larger the federal government bureaucracy gets, the less efficient it's going to get. I just take for granted that Washington, D.C. is broken, right? I meet people in Washington all the time. I work here. I've worked here for over a dozen years. You meet them, and then they work at the Department of Agriculture, EPA. Everyone who works in these agencies can tell you. They say, there are 4 people that I work with in my division that I know. For every one person, there are 4 people who don't need to be there. That's just how the federal bureaucracy is. You know it. And I've known it for, we all know it. But there have been some parts of our federal government in Washington, D.C. that stood above. There was a time when agencies like the FBI and the Secret Service, you meet somebody and say, oh, you work for the government? What do you work for? Oh, I work for the Secret Service. Oh. There's this immediate response. There's this immediate sort of effect that you respect that person because that agency is above all of that. That agency has a pristine, sterling reputation, that they are above what you assume to be complete and total bureaucratic dysfunction in Washington, D.C. And now that's gone. The more we learn about the Secret Service, the more we realize that the broken rot that is the federal government in Washington, D.C. is literally everywhere. Everywhere. And I want to hand it off to Greg Gutfeld, who actually summed this up really well last night. Because, and by the way, as he does it, there's even more outrageous stuff that he's got here about what's happened with the Secret Service. That it's like, how many more of these incidents do we have to hear about before we just come in and say, okay, that's it. This entire agency has to be turned inside out. Take a look.
Which brings me back to the Secret Service. Turns out that the Trump mess was no bug in the system. It is the system. A new report from Real Clear Politics reporter Susan Crabtree quotes sources within the service who claim that the agency has suffered more lapses than cat's car insurance. First, 2 Secret Service agents were recently photographed dead asleep while on duty at Mar-a-Lago, and instead of nudging them awake, the photos were circulated to others on the detail. The sleepers were never disciplined, but everybody got a good laugh. In 2019, 2 Chinese nationals simply strolled onto the grounds of Trump's Florida home, perhaps thinking it was Disney's Magic Kingdom. Worse, the Secret Service can't even protect itself. 2 months ago, a man in shorts and a T-shirt walked through an open door in the Miami field office and spent the night. First, he took a shower, then downloaded porn on a computer. It's weird. I usually do those 2 things in reverse. You too. Next morning, he asked employees where he could get a cup of coffee, and they got him coffee. Hell, I don't get treated that well at Starbucks, and I own Starbucks. He was only caught when he entered a defensive tactics class, and someone finally asked who the hell he was, which is like Brian Kilmeade at a Brian Kilmeade book signing.
He's a friend.
I know.
That's a little gratuitous against our friend Brian, but you get the picture. Seriously. A guy just wandered into the Miami field office and started accessing porn on the computers, took a shower, actually went to attend a class in defensive tactics until finally somebody said, hey, are you supposed to be here? It's the Secret Service. We've got a serious problem here. And the more we learn, the more we realize how bad it really is. And what's really weird to me in all of this is that it's only people like me. It's only conservative commentators, people right of center in the media, and Republican politicians who are upset about this. You know, the Secret Service is there to protect all politicians, Republicans and Democrats. Why aren't Democrats more upset about this? Why aren't media figures that aren't aligned with conservative outlets more upset about this? Why is Susan Crabtree at Real Clear Politics, who's a great reporter, why is she the only one pursuing this story? It's a giant scandal. And sadly, I think the only common denominator here, the only logical answer when you ask those questions, is because it was an assassination attempt against Trump. And ultimately, the Democrats in this town and the Democrats who work in media, who would normally be talking about this and covering it and expressing outrage, they don't care. I mean, it was just Trump. That's what they think. And that's where they are. And sadly, that's where we all are until something radical changes things.